It was the night of the national championship. I was at the University of Alabama. I think it was a sophomore year. So, like the biggest night of the year, we were playing Clemson, and the most popular bar had a line of probably 200 people. Right? The cover charge to get in was like $200 or $300. This line down the block, right? But I wanted to get in so bad. Like I just had to go in. I had my friends inside. I think there was like a girl I was talking to inside or something. So I'm like, I want this so bad. I gotta get in there. So I was thinking about like cutting the line. Can I just like kind of sneak in there? I thought about trying to pay the bouncer like $500 or something, but didn't want to spend that kind of money. I was looking at like, can I climb in there? Like, can I go over the fence or get up on the roof and like drop in there or something? I just want to get in so bad, so bad. But I realized that motivation wasn't going to get me in there. I decided I had to use my creativity and my intelligence to find a way in. So I looked across the street and saw this little restaurant. I walked in, ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, got it to go, throw on a baseball cap, walk up to the bouncer, and I say, I got an Uber Eats for Sarah. Sarah in the back. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, Sarah in the back. I think she's a bartender, bussing tables. If she ordered Uber Eats, I can just drop it off for her. And he's like, oh, yeah, dude, go ahead, whatever. So I walk in there. I'm 20 years old at this point. Just walk into the biggest bar, most popular bar on campus on the biggest night of the year. I ditch my hat, whip open my snack from the restaurant, and spend the night there. Pretty incredible night. The reason I share that is because you can use this for more than just sneaking into the bar, right? You can use this to fundamentally change your quality of life. And it begins with this shift from motivation and willpower, what I call habit building, to habit engineering, which is using your creativity and your intelligence. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So my name's Jackson. I'm a happiness researcher, instructor, and former Zen monk, and I have a thing for habits. I'm very particular about my own. I have this checklist with all of them marked off. This book, Atomic Habits, have to recommend. I'll link to it down below. By James Clear. I've probably read it like 5 or 6 times. And it's actually the textbook for the course that I created and instructed at the University of Alabama called Happiness Habits 101. So for the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to talk to you about this idea of habit engineering. So how to engineer your habits to be happier and higher performing. And there are really 7 rules that go into this. First, I want to share with you that the way we think about habits is pretty much all wrong. Probably all the psychology, self-improvement, philosophy, whatever, advice, 90% of it is totally worthless. Why? Because knowing isn't doing. And that's something that Laurie Santos talks about. She is a happiness researcher at Yale. She teaches the world's most popular course on happiness. And in one of the first weeks, she talks about the G.I. Joe fallacy. And it gets its name because in the old cartoon G.I. Joe, the main character always used to say, knowing is half the battle. In reality, knowing is like 1% of the battle, right? Because knowing intellectually doesn't mean we're actually going to do it. Knowledge without action is useless. So the reason it's so important to focus on habits is because habits are the mechanism that actually converts knowing to doing. And that's what we're talking about with habit engineering, right? Going from habit building, which is trying harder, to habit engineering, which is trying smarter, and making sure that the knowledge actually leads to action. So as I mentioned earlier, we're now going to get into these 7 rules of habit engineering. Number 1 is make it too easy. Number 2 is make a plan. Number 3 is track it. Number 4, change your environment. Number 5, don't allow zeros. Number 6, reward yourself. And number 7 is get support. So number 1, make it too easy. Start with the smallest possible version of your habit and then scale up. This is where so many people go wrong. They try to do this huge lifestyle change. I'm going to start running 10 miles a day. I'm going to read one book a week. It's just impossible. You have to have a habit in place before you can expand it. It's like having a solid foundation for your house. So start with something super small, something that feels like it's too easy, and then scale up. So I want to start going to the gym becomes I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week for 15 minutes. Number 2, make a plan. This is as simple as committing to when and where you're going to do it. And there are studies that show if you just get people to say or write down when and where they're going to do it, it will increase follow through over 200%. So clinical studies have found that. So I want to read more becomes I will read one page at 7:30 in the morning at my kitchen table before I eat breakfast. Number 3, track it. What gets measured gets managed. You have to have a system in place to see your progress, to make it tangible, to make it visible. And it's pretty amazing that we track things like our steps, our work hours, our finances, but often we don't track things like what are the habits around my mental health, or how much am I investing in the relationships with people I love. You gotta track these things. So an example is to print out a daily checklist and leave it on your pillow and check it off each night. You can set a digital recurring reminder that you have to check off each day, or keep a spreadsheet of your most important habits. Number 4 is change your environment. So we often focus all internal, but it's just as important to focus externally. How can I change the world around me to make my behavior easier? When I was living as a Zen monk, I spent 90 days, no drugs or alcohol, vegetarian, no nicotine, and almost very little, maybe one day a week, using my cell phone. And it wasn't because I was disciplined or so motivated, it was because I was in that different environment. So for example, if you have trouble hitting snooze in the morning, try moving your phone across the room. If you want to eat more fruits and vegetables, eat healthier, keep a bowl of fresh fruit on your kitchen table, or cut up vegetables in your fridge. Number 5 is don't allow zeros. They say 80% of success in life is just showing up. Well, I've got good news. 100% of success in your habits is just showing up. So the most important thing is to keep the momentum going. And importantly, if you do miss, recover. Missing once is a mistake, but missing twice starts a whole new pattern, and it starts a downward spiral. So focus on never putting up a zero. Just show up every single day, or if it's a different style of habit, maybe 3 times a week or once a week, hitting it every week, every time you're supposed to do it. Number 6, tracking my hands, is reward yourself. So use positive reinforcement, especially short-term rewards, to condition and build the habit. So for example, I like to have my breakfast and morning coffee after I do my meditation. For that same meditation habit, you might have your checklist, and after you do 30 days straight of meditation, you treat yourself to a reward, like sleep in or go out for a nice dinner. Number 7, and I think this one is the most powerful, especially if you're looking for immediate change, is to join a community or a group or an accountability partnership to make your desired habit automatic. So I wanted to start doing more public speaking. I joined a public speaking group that meets once a week, and I have to do it. I just show up and it's taken care of. You can partner with a close friend and you both want to work on your habits together. You need someone else, or better yet, a group, to hold you accountable and make the behavior automatic. So as I said, the single most powerful of these rules when it comes to affecting like immediate change on your habits and your behavior is joining a group, of changing the people you're around. Because this is really what makes the behavior automatic. So I want to tell you about the Rewired Program. This is a 1-month version of the Happiness Habits course that I taught at the University of Alabama. So it's a 30-day challenge. By the end, you'll have built 3 new happiness habits, showing up every single day. I'll be there every step of the way to coach you along. You'll have access to a group of people doing the same thing. And all I ask is $1 a day, so it ends up being $30 for the rest of your life. 3 new happiness habits. I also offer habits-based coaching, and both of those I'll put links to down below. What I want to leave you with is this. If your IQ and your motivation, kind of your overall capacity, are your engine's horsepower, then your habits are the efficiency. How well is that power being translated into output? Is it going towards the right things? And ultimately, approaching your habits this way is going to take your input and make your outputs more efficient, because your habits are what matter when it comes to happiness and high performance.